A very good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming here at Zee Auto Summit 2025. As we all know that India is one of the top automotive market in the world, but India has its own challenges. Every day, 400 lives are lost on Indian roads. Now, this is not just a transport issue. This is a national imperative which is impacting citizens, brands, and also policymakers. So we have an exceptional panel here, and we will try to explore what are the ways to make not just Indian roads safe, but also the atmosphere where we can have a more responsible mobility. So let me just start with Mr. Vikram first. I want to start by asking Videsh, safe roads, safe India. Where do you think the real challenge lies? Is it with infrastructure, or is it with enforcement, or whether it's with driver behavior?
So let me start with that famous quote from Mr. Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Swarajya is my Janma Siddha Adhikar. But for our citizens here, flouting the norms is the Janma Siddha Adhikar. I think we need to change there, number one. However, I think what we need to address is the solution very comprehensively. The recent meeting which we had with Mr. Gadkari was also, we're trying to address things comprehensively on the 5 E's which he mentioned. So one is, of course, the engineering of the vehicles, the engineering of the roads, which has increased very well. But in the urban areas, the engineering of roads has to improve. The blind spots, especially potholes, so on and so forth. Then, of course, enforcement. And then the emergency. So we are also making emergency ambulances, which will launch very shortly as a proto, which will be able to reach the customers in the golden hour. And of course, education, which we are starting with the children at a young age. So at the young age, I think like the Japanese do, we want to build that culture of this thing. Plus many other initiatives which are taking for training, etc., which is going on. And of course, trying to look at defensive driving rather than me first follow the rules.
Okay. Mr. Jyoti, I want to pick your brain here. Volvo is synonymous to safety worldwide. So what according to you is those factors which has Volvo's leadership that can be localized for the Indian roads and for the Indian market as well? And just to add another thing here, I think if I'm not wrong, 3-point seat belt was introduced by Volvo to the humankind. So probably you should also get a Nobel Prize for that.
No, thank you so much for, first of all, having me here. And you're right. I think when it comes to safety, more or less, Volvo is considered as a synonym for safety, right? But it is basically a mindset. And as we just heard, I think there are many facets to safety, whether it is road engineering or automotive engineering, education, or I think the behavior. And I think for our country, I think we have heard the minister just now. I think we have done a lot when it comes to road engineering. It's a lot of work is being done. Automotive, I think all companies are doing the best. And in my view, I think for India, the biggest challenge is about the mindset, right? The chalta hai attitude is a big issue. So I think you just spoke about the seat belt. Let me ask, I think your audience here, out of whenever you sit in a car, not in a driver's seat, but whenever you are sitting, do you wear a seat belt? How many people wear a seat belt? See, 10%, 15%, even if you're not driving, right? So I think automotive companies can do so much. Similarly, I think for two-wheelers, how many people actually wear a helmet all the times? We see people around. And many people are also wearing the seat belt or whatever just because there's an enforcement. So it's an interplay. So I think as a country, we need to change this mindset. We need to start, I think, as famously Gandhiji said, the change starts with me, right? Yeah. We need to be the change we want to see. So I think we need to first, we are all influencers. We are living in a world where people are called influencers now, right? We are all influencers for our own children, people around us, society around us. We should take lead in encouraging others to follow safety norms. Whether or not there is a camera, you should I think, follow the speed limits which are being given. So I think this mindset is required. And I think education can play a big role. I think we just heard, like in Japan and other countries, from the very beginning, we need to inculcate this behavior or this mindset in the kids. They are the ones, and we are a young country. We need to bring this change. What we are seeing here is that we have seen such a fast progress that I think a rickshaw chawler has become an e-rickshaw, e-rickshaw guy has become a taxi driver has upgraded to maybe a luxury taxi. So I think it's just evolved. And without getting into the basics of, safety. And it cannot, I think, we as a government, automotive companies, engineering can't do anything if we don't take that ownership. And I think it starts with us. So I think the biggest change that is required in our country, and I think when Mr. also spoke about it, is about how we bring this mindset change. And it's not an easy task. Probably it'll take a generation. But someday it has to start, and let us start from now. I think so. My request is, I think we saw 40% people raise their hand. For rest of 60% people, I want all of you to take a pledge that whenever you sit in a car, please wear a seatbelt yourself. Please encourage people, anybody else sitting in the same car, whether you are sitting in a taxi or you are sitting in your own car, your family members, please ensure that you wear a seatbelt. If you can start from this small room, I think it can spread. So that's how we can start.
You're talking about the Japanese culture. My next question is to Mr. Gulati. Mr. Gulati, Toyota's global vision of zero traffic deaths is quite inspiring. So my question here is how Toyota India is adapting to this vision for the Indian roads.
Well, for us, safety goes into all aspects of our operations. So it not only is about the road safety, but also the mindset, like what was mentioned. So ensuring safety at workplace, not only in the floor shop, but also in terms of the office space. It's things like, having corridors where you are encouraged to follow basic rules of look right, look left, then cross. It's a corridor. One would say, why the hell would you want to do that? Why you want to do that is you want to, at least in your set of influence, which is your employees, you want to encourage and enforce this mindset. Then the other thing, for instance, what we do is we make sure that each one of our employees is wearing a seat belt, very basic thing, even if it's a bus. And it's like monitored. And this goes so deep that our level, our suppliers, whether it's the level 1 or level 2, if there is a safety incident, it is scrutinized at TKM, it is analyzed, it is like, we call something as Yokoten. Yokoten basically means going to the root cause, finding a solution, making a case study, and spreading it. So this concept also goes in our activities towards road safety, where we are primarily focusing on children. We believe children are the champions who can bring change. They are not only the future, but they are also the maximum influencers in the community. So we have a very impactful programs going on with schools around road safety. And one of them is particularly something that's close to my heart, which is the safety hackathon. Here we are targeting kids in schools and in giving them a problem related to road safety, asking them to understand the problem, find a solution. It could be a technological solution, it could be an awareness solution, and try and implement it. And we do it across many schools within a city and hold a competition. And to our surprise, we found so many people coming, so many kids actually coming up with very unique solutions, that we got encouraged to now then link up these kids to engineering colleges as mentors. And then what we found as the next step was, very amazing kind of technological solutions to common problems that we face on road safety. These are being encouraged. So these are kind of things that we're doing, mainly focus around the mindset, the culture, because like has already been mentioned, from an engineering point of view, there is only so much you can do, and most of it has been done.
Mr. Vikram, if I'm not wrong, almost 70% of road accidents that happen in India are on two-wheelers. So what Hero MotoCorp is doing, how are you leveraging technology and social awareness to bring these road accidents lower and reduce these fatalities that are happening on the Indian roads right now?
Yes, you're absolutely right. Two-wheelers are more vulnerable because it's not self-balancing. And as I mentioned, first of all, like my colleagues here on the stage mentioned, on the behavior part of it. So we have what we call the safety training whenever a customer buys a vehicle. We talk about how they should ride safe. We have got safety parks in which we train the gig workers. There are 6 of them across India. We also train them for better learning skills. We also train women riders to sort of improve upon the riding ability. So these are softer issues that we are taking up. And there are multiple interventions that we have across, as I said, education of children, education of various people across. So this is a campaign which goes on with the local police traffic and all that. So this is an ongoing exercise which we really need to inculcate and develop the people for safety. At the same time, as far as technology goes, there are multiple initiatives that are being taken. So there are about almost 20 technology interventions that we are evaluating. And we will start and create a roadmap for incorporating this for improving the vehicle safety. So in today's world, if ADAS is there, my driver switches it off. So we have to be very practical about seeing what this, how these accidents occur and provide the right solution. For example, one of the things is the silver box, which is what is coming in over the air updates, as we call it. The good part of it is we know the driving behavior and pattern of the vehicle which goes over the cloud. We can analyze it and do it. Now, analyzing the accidents is also important. So there are a lot of video cameras across. We can actually use the AI tool to analyze these videos and look at it, what is really the root cause of accident. Because most of the cops say the simplest thing for them is if he was overspeeding, which is not possible in a urban weather. Highways I can understand. So such kind of interventions are very, very important for us to go through. And as I said, anything that is required to bring about safety, that is our top priority as far as leading manufacturer of two-wheeler is concerned. And that's a corporate goal for us to bring down the accidents.
Mr. Jyoti, I want to pick your brain here. Volvo once visioned zero fatalities in its cars. Considering that India has a lot of chaos on the Indian roads, how close are we to make this happen? And what are the challenges that you are facing right now?
Yeah, so I think the biggest challenge obviously is the mindset again, so I don't dwell into it anymore. But as a car maker, what we can do is things are in our control. I think we just heard about the accident research. We have been doing, I think a separate department who has been doing this accident research for close to 40 years. And they go to every accident site, analyze what happened, how it would have happened, how it could have been prevented, what was the impact of this, and so on and so forth. All that data is being collected for many, many years, and I think those inputs are then used to design a better car every time. Those research points become very, very important. So I think that's something which is very, very important because ultimately, because we are I think a legacy brand being around 98 years and we operate in so many countries, data is coming from almost everywhere and we are able to sort of convert that into some meaningful work. One important thing I can tell you as an outcome I think two things. One is we have developed what is called as a initiative called EVA, Equal Vehicle for All. So what we realized, I'm sure everybody here has seen or heard about the crash test, right? We are talking about NCAP scores and all. In a crash, what happens? So I think in 90s, way back in 90s, we realized while we're doing this research that a typical dummy, which was used to analyze an accident or when the crash test was being done for a typical male dummy of a certain age and height, which means that only X% of people globally are sort of meeting that norm, and I think that's not safe enough for everyone. So how can we generate equal vehicle for all, whether it is for women or for any gender, age, or any ethnicity? So that data then went back into that, and I think that is now, and I think what we have done, like we did with the seat belt, that technology was made available to everyone. Similarly, this EVA initiative, we have put this whole data back to all other automakers as well for as an open source. So they can extract the data and I think use in their own designing. So that's a contribution, not just for our own company, but for the larger community, because we care for that. So that is one very, very important thing. The other output of that accident research over the years has been, And especially in four-wheelers, what happens is people talk about the golden hour, right? When an accident happens, you need to have someone reach and support you. But the first thing is to get people out of the car, right? When a crash happens, everything jams. Now, what sort of tools are required? What sort of cutting is required? And for that, you have to collaborate with the local authorities, because ultimately the local authority, the local fire people will come. So we have been working with our communities in different countries, where we collaborate with them, educate them as to what has to be done. And this is sort of something which, as an output of that research, is what came in. So I think these are small little things which can bring in changes. They are going beyond just the automotive engineering itself, but I think taking it to the larger aspect of safety. And I think we take these things as very, very seriously, and I think we have been working on them. And as I said, we are a small brand, but we share this with others so that I think it can go. For example, the seatbelt you spoke about, in a way I can say very proudly, a little bit of Volvo is there in every car, because every 3-point seatbelt that you use came in from Volvo and was given to everyone without any patent, just because of larger safety. So those ethos is what we contribute.
Mr. Gulati, Toyota has been deeply involved in awareness programs, like you also mentioned. What, according to you, think, and how important is it on the grassroots level to make those drivers understand? And also, have you seen any positive impact in the drivers' behavior in India, especially?
Yeah, definitely. I think everybody, there's nothing more precious than your own life, right? The fact is that you tend to forget this very basic fact many a times when you're flouting rules. So reinforcing this aspect that, it's taking shortcuts is not only putting yourself in danger, but also the future of your family does have an impact. Showing cases where you think that you can get away with, breaking rules, how much risk you're taking in terms of putting yourself in danger versus what you're gaining. Those kind of things do matter. They do create a lot of impact. I think public awareness, school-based awareness is critical. But I would also say that enforcement is something that can go to the next level now. I personally believe with the technology that's now available, there is a case for considering citizen enforcement. When you see people flouting rules, you all have now technology where cameras are available. Can you take that? Can you load it onto on the cloud seamlessly for the enforcement agencies to act on it? This actually immediately multiplies the outreach and the impact and kind of finishes off the limitations of the number of cameras you can put. Practically everybody becomes an enforcer. Follow that up with implementation of the amended Motor Vehicle Act, which got amended in 2019, which has very stringent penalties now, and link it to the technology stack, where driving license is also linked to your unique identification. States getting involved in making sure that the licensing itself, that process, is made strict. I think if you put these pieces together, I think in short span of time, relatively short span of time, we can have a huge impact. And I think this has got to be done given the kind of losses we are seeing in terms of human lives being lost, the economic impact of it all, the social impact of it all. So I think those kind of things also need to be done besides just creating awareness. Thank you.
Mr. Vikram, being a market leader, do you think India and companies like Hero MotoCorp can become global leaders in affordable safety features? Let's say ABS, let's say smart helmets, or safety technology. Do you think we have that potential? And if yes, then what are the things that are stopping us?
True. Actually, the target that we have given to our R&D and development teams is, I told you we're working on 20-odd projects, and we have given them cost targets. So they should be affordable and yet be useful for the people. For example, if I put a helmet and connect it to the Bluetooth, then it should give an alarm, or blind spot detection, it should raise an alarm. So these are fundamental things which we're trying to do. Pothole detection, blind spot detection, all these factors are very, very important. So once we understand and analyze the real cause of accidents, we'll take up about top 20 things which will give us about 80% results, not play blind.
So before we wind up, I have one question, and I need answer from each one of you, starting with Mr. Jyoti. If you could make one policy change tomorrow that would drastically reduce road fatalities in India, what would it be?
I think we need, although I think recently this enforcement of I think the traffic rules has become very stringent, but I think we need to ensure that it becomes even more stringent, because I don't think while we educate, it will take 10 years, but I think we need to ensure that how we are able to enforce, whether we use technology. I think India is known to be the IT hub of the world. And I think we have seen since the time cameras were installed, people have become conscious, but then there are hacks available to sort of beat that, and I think only do this because you want to beat the enforcement. But I think one important thing is to make the enforcement even more stringent and goes across the board, whether it's a e-rickshaw driver or anybody who is violating that should be fined or their driving lessons cancelled. I think we have to make it. Till the time education happens, we need enforcement.
Mr. Gulati?
I think the foremost is enhancing the efficacy of the driving license regime.
Mr. Vikram?
I would say enforcement of automated driving centers. There are 100 odd in India. They undergo theory class, they have to pass it, and then you have to enter the test area and come out, either it's pass or fail. I think this should be enforced across the country. That will be the best solution. Thank you.
Well, on that note, I would like to say thank you very much indeed for joining us here. It's been a pleasure having you here. Ladies and gentlemen, please have a huge round of applause. Thank you.